Back in the late 1990s, before Elon Musk was a household name, he was just a scrappy student at Queen's University in Ontario, Canada, a place buzzing with young minds and big dreams. That's where he met Justine Wilson, a woman whose world revolved around words, not numbers. She was studying English literature, crafting stories that captured the human heart, while Elon was knee-deep in physics and economics, plotting a future that would reshape ours. By 2000, they'd tied the knot in California, a tech visionary and a writer with stars in her eyes, starting a life that soon welcomed 5 kids, twins, then triplets. From the outside, it was picture perfect, wealth piling up, a family growing, a couple destined to conquer the world together. But behind that glossy surface, things were unraveling. Justine later shared how she felt like her voice was fading, drowned out by Elon's relentless drive. She'd pour her soul into their home, their kids, only to feel like a footnote in his grand plan. Then, in 2008, came the moment that broke it all open. One day, out of nowhere, a text from Elon lit up her phone. He was engaged to someone new, TalulahRiley, a British actress already stepping into her shoes. No warning, no sit down, just a cold, final cut. And there was more. A last straw Justine's kept close, that sent her walking away for good. How did a love that started so bright end in such a shattering fall? Today, we're peeling back the layers from their first spark to the divorce that rocked Silicon Valley. It's a story of ambition, heartbreak, and resilience. And, trust me, you won't want to miss a single twist. It all started on a crisp fall day at Queen's University in Ontario, back when the 1990s were alive with flannel shirts and dial-up internet. Elon Musk was there, a skinny South African transplant, hunched over textbooks in physics and economics, his brain already wired for the next big thing. Think PayPal, Tesla, years before they were real. Across campus, Justine Wilson was in her own world, an English lit major surrounded by novels and poetry. Her days filled with Shakespeare and her nights with dreams of writing something timeless. They weren't an obvious match. He was all about systems and solutions. She was about feelings and depth. But fate had other plans. Elon saw Justine and didn't hesitate. He asked her out for ice cream, bold as brass. She said no. Too casual for her taste. But he wouldn't let it go. Later, he tracked her down at her dorm, 2 melting cones dripping in his hands, that lopsided grin saying he wasn't taking no for an answer. Justine wrote about it years later. He had this raw, unstoppable energy, like he could bend the world to his will. It was charming then, that dogged persistence, and it pulled her in. Maybe you've seen it too. That couple in your own college days, the go-getter who charges forward and the quiet one who feels everything. For Elon and Justine, it was a spark that lit up their early 20s, a romance stitched together from their differences. But those differences weren't just cute quirks. They were clues to what lay ahead. How do you build a life when one's racing toward the future and the other's holding on to the heart of it? Let's find out as they step into marriage, and the tensions start to show. January 2000 rolled around, and Elon Musk and Justine Wilson stood hand in hand, saying "I do" under a California sky. It was a fresh start, the turn of a new millennium, a young couple planting roots in Silicon Valley, where the air buzzed with dot-com dreams and endless possibility. They'd left Canada behind, chasing a life together in a sunlit bungalow, surrounded by the hum of ambition. Justine was still scribbling her stories, and Elon was pouring himself into his first big venture, a company called Zip2 that'd soon sell for millions. Those early days felt golden, a shared belief they could build something extraordinary, side by side. But beneath the glow, little tensions were simmering. Elon saw the world like a CEO, structured, efficient, with him at the helm. Justine wanted a partnership, a meeting of equals, where her voice mattered too. One day, in a moment she'd never forget, he turned to her and said, "If you were my employee, I'd fire you." It stung. A half-joke, maybe, but a glimpse into his alpha mindset. In her Marie Claire essay years later, Justine wrote, "I felt sidelined, reduced to a role instead of a partner." That wasn't just Elon being Elon. It was a sign of something deeper, a corporate lens creeping into their home. Maybe you've seen it too. That trap where one spouse starts calling the shots and the other's left feeling small. Over time, it chips away at the heart of a marriage. For Justine, those words lingered, a quiet warning of what was building. How do you hold on when love starts feeling like a hierarchy? Let's see how that question grew heavier, especially when tragedy came knocking. In 2002, Elon and Justine Musk welcomed their first child, a little boy they named Nevada Alexander. For 10 precious weeks, their California home was filled with the soft sounds of a newborn, tiny cries, late-night feedings, that fleeting joy of new parenthood. Then, one night, it all stopped. Nevada slipped away, taken by sudden infant death syndrome. SIDS, a quiet thief that strikes about 1 in every 1,000 babies in the U.S. each year. Justine was shattered. She later poured her grief onto the page, writing, "I held him as he left us, and the world turned hollow." She needed to talk, to cry, to feel that unbearable loss out loud. But Elon? He went the other way. He shut it down, locked it tight, and threw himself back into work, building Tesla, chasing the next deadline. When Justine tried to share her pain, he'd cut her off, saying, "I don't want to talk about it." To him, emotions were a detour, something to push past. To her, they were the only way through. It's a split so many couples know. One partner reaching out, the other pulling back. And after a loss like that, it can break you apart if you don't meet in the middle. For Justine, Elon's silence wasn't just distance. It was a wall she couldn't climb. She was grieving a son. He was racing toward a future that left her behind. That fracture didn't heal. It grew. How do you keep a family together when sorrow pulls you in opposite directions? Let's see how they tried, and how the weight of 5 more kids changed everything. After Nevada's loss, Elon and Justine turned to IVF, determined to keep growing their family. In 2004, twins Griffin and Xavier arrived, 2 little bundles bringing light back to their home. 2 years later, in 2006, triplets Damien, Saxon, and Kai joined the crew, 5 kids under one roof, all under 5 years old. For Justine, it was a whirlwind. Picture her in that California house, a toddler tugging at her leg, a baby crying for a bottle, another spilling juice on her latest manuscript, all while she tried to steal a moment to breathe. She was juggling diapers and deadlines, pouring every ounce of herself into those kids, often alone. Meanwhile, Elon was clocking 100-hour weeks, building Tesla and SpaceX from the ground up. He'd be across town, pitching to investors in a crisp suit, while Justine wrestled with chaos at home. It wasn't the power couple story you might think of, like Bill and Melinda Gates, who seemed to balance family and ambition with a shared rhythm. Elon was absent, his mind on rockets and electric cars, leaving Justine to carry the load. She wanted a partner, not just a provider, but his focus was elsewhere, a gap that kept widening. It's the kind of strain so many know, love stretched thin by life's demands. And that strain? It was about to snap. How do you hold on when you're raising a family solo in someone else's shadow? Let's find out what pushed Justine to her limit. By 2008, Justine Musk was stretched thin. 5 kids, a fading marriage, and a life that felt more like survival than partnership. Then, one quiet day, her phone buzzed with a text from Elon that stopped her cold. No preamble, no softness. Just a stark line. He was engaged to TalulahRiley, a young actress already stepping into her place. It hit like a brick. After years of holding on, he'd moved on without a whisper. But Justine later hinted at something more, a final moment that pushed her out the door. What was it? Maybe she overheard a call. Elon planning his new life with Talulah, not a thought for her. In her essay, she wrote, "I'd become a ghost," her voice trembling with the ache of being erased. Elon, ever the problem solver, likely saw it as simple efficiency. Cut ties, move forward, no mess. But for Justine, it was a wound too deep to stitch. She'd given everything. Her youth, her heart, their kids, only to be replaced without a word. Could you forgive that? Imagine pouring your soul into a love, then finding out it's already gone. That was her breaking point, the day she chose to stop waiting and start walking. And walking away wasn't the end. It was the start of a fight. What happens when you leave a billionaire behind? Let's dive into the battle that came next. When Justine Musk walked away in 2008, she didn't just leave a marriage, she stepped into a fight. The divorce turned bitter fast, centering on a postnuptial agreement she'd signed years earlier, back when Elon's wealth was just budding. By then, his fortune had exploded. In 2002, PayPal sold for $1.5 billion, netting him $180 million, a hefty sum. But by 2008, with Tesla and SpaceX taking off, his net worth was soaring into the billions. Justine looked at that gap from millions to billions and felt cheated. She'd been there from the scrappy days, raising their 5 kids, and now she was battling for what she saw as fair. Her legal team dug in, arguing the agreement was flawed, even fraudulent. They claimed Elon hadn't fully disclosed his assets when she signed, a move that left her with far less than she deserved. Elon stood firm, saying she'd agreed willingly, and the court sided with him after 2 grueling years. Justine walked away with a settlement, shared custody, some money, but not the justice she'd fought for. It's a hard lesson, one so many stumble into, signing a paper without knowing the fine print, especially when love blinds you to the what-ifs. For folks like us, planning estates or facing our own splits, it's a wake-up call. Know what you're agreeing to, because later, it's a steep hill to climb. Justine didn't win the cash, but she wasn't done speaking. How did she turn that loss into a voice that echoed? Let's see what she did next, and how it shook the world. In 2010, with the divorce dust settled, Justine Musk picked up her pen and let the world in. Her essay in Marie Claire wasn't just a story. It was a raw, unfiltered cry from the heart. She wrote, "I was Elon Musk's wife, not Justine anymore," laying bare how years of emotional neglect had stripped her identity down to a title. She described the power struggles, the silences, the slow fade of her own voice in a marriage ruled by his ambition. It wasn't bitter. It was honest, and it hit hard. Readers felt it. Here was a woman who'd lived in a billionaire's shadow and come out to tell the tale. The press took notice. The New York Times called it a rare glimpse into a billionaire's world, a peek behind the curtain of wealth and fame. Even today, you'll find folks on X saying it's a wake-up call for anyone feeling lost in a relationship. Justine didn't just vent. She reclaimed her power, turning pain into words that rang true for so many. It's a lesson worth holding on to. Speaking out, even when it's messy, can pull you back from the edge of being forgotten. Maybe you felt that too, invisible in your own life, and found strength in saying it out loud. Her voice didn't stop there. It carried her forward. What did Justine build from those ashes? Let's see how she rewrote her story, and how Elon kept repeating his. When the divorce papers were signed, Justine Musk didn't just step away. She stepped into herself. She poured her soul into writing, crafting novels like Blood Angel in 2005, a dark fantasy about a woman fighting her demons, and its sequel, Lord of Bones. They're stories of resilience, of clawing back from the edge, a mirror to her own journey. She became an advocate too, speaking out about identity and strength, turning her years in Elon's shadow into a light of her own. It's the kind of rebirth that takes guts, the kind you cheer for. Elon, though, he kept spinning the same wheel. After Justine, he married TalulahRiley, twice in fact, first in 2010, then again in 2013, splitting for good after 6 rocky years. Then came Amber Heard, a whirlwind romance that fizzled fast, and Grimes, with 3 kids and an on-again, off-again dance that's still playing out. Each time, it's the same. Intense passion, then detachment, like he's chasing a spark he can't hold. Meanwhile, Justine built something steady, a life that echoes women like Melinda Gates, who left Bill and carved her own path with grace and grit, a quiet power Elon's whirlwind couldn't touch. So what's the takeaway from their split roads? Let's wrap it up with the lessons they left us, about love, loss, and finding your footing when the ground shakes. So what do we take from Elon and Justine Musk's roller coaster? It's a story of ambition's price tag and the quiet strength it takes to rise above it. Elon's drive is legendary, but it's rooted deep. A 2015 biography, Elon Musk by Ashley Vance, traces it back to a tough childhood in South Africa, where survival meant pushing forward no matter what. That relentless engine built Tesla and SpaceX, but at home, it left Justine stranded, a partner sidelined by a man who couldn't slow down. She wanted love to be a dance of equals. He saw it as a mission to command. It's a clash that broke them, and it's not rare. The CDC says 40% of U.S. marriages end in divorce, often because ambition and connection can't find the same beat. Justine's story, though, is where the light shines. She didn't just survive, she grew. From the ashes of that marriage, she wrote novels, found her voice, and built a life that was hers alone. Today, she and Elon don't talk directly. His assistant handles the go-between, but they've settled into a co-parenting truce for their 5 boys. Justine's made her peace, living in Los Angeles with a calm she earned the hard way. It's a reminder, love can cost you everything, but losing it doesn't have to break you. In the end, Justine found freedom not in Elon's shadow, but beyond it. What's your story of resilience? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear how you've bounced back. And hey, if this hit home, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We've got more stories like this coming your way.